Happy 200th anniversary of Pride and Prejudice, everybody! It occurred to me recently, I'm a bit of a Pride and Prejudice geek. I'm not sure how you become a Pride and Prejudice geek, but when I ended up with this t-shirt, I was pretty sure that's what had happened. And since it's the 200th anniversary, I thought it'd be a good time to talk about it. The way I discovered Pride and Prejudice was, strangely enough, through Bridget Jones's diary. Now, I read Bridget Jones's diary when I was 16. And I found out a while afterward how Fielding said she'd based it on Pride and Prejudice, and it took me a while to figure out, oh my god, yes she did. The whole framework of the plot is Pride and Prejudice. You know, Mark Darcy is Mr. Darcy, Daniel Cleaver is George Wickham, and it's really all in there. And I read, this was my first sort of grown-up book, and I just thought it was fantastic. I didn't know at the time, you know, it is Helen Fielding's old story, but it has that Pride and Prejudice theme running through it, and I read this. That was when I was 16, and I read the sequel, which also came out when I was 16. There's a little bit of dust on there. I'm 31, what were you expecting? Seriously, there's gonna be dust, Julia, there's gonna be dust on your 15-year-old books. So many years went past, and everyone always used to talk about the BBC Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth. And then I watched my mum's videos of it, thought, you know, give it a bash. And I really loved it, and the more I watched it and the more I loved it, and I ended up getting it on DVD. And I can strongly recommend you getting it on DVD. And you know, BBC Pride and Prejudice was one of the few period dramas that the quality of the settings and the sceneries and costumes was really good. So if you watch it on those sort of crappy master copies on those Sky channels that none of us know the name of, we just sort of come across on a Sunday afternoon, you're not going to be getting a very good version. So anyway, I watched this when I was probably in my early 20s, still hadn't read the book by this point. And then, I'm not sure when it happened exactly, but the book and the film came to me at about the same time. I think the film was coming out, so I decided to read the book. Lots of people don't really like the film. People are like, Matthew McFadden is not Colin Firth, he doesn't come out of the lake in wet things, and Kira is all kind of thin and she has a large face. But I thought it was really great, and I think in a way it was a bit more realistic than the BBC version, because I mean, for starters, Jana Malone actually looks like she's 14 when she's playing Lydia. I mean, have you seen Julia Sawalha in the BBC version? Have you seen those boobs? There is no way a 14-year-old girl will have those boobs. I mean, yeah, Matthew McFadden isn't Colin Firth, but you know what are you going to do? Not all the men can be Colin Firth. But anyway, I read the book around the same time, and this is a Penguin Classic version. Penguin Classics are a bit annoying because they stick an introduction in the front, and they stick a picture, they get a painting, and they put it on the front, and they're like, 9 quid! Pay 9 quid for this classic now. I think I did, oh no, 5 quid. But what surprised me about getting to read the book after all these years, you would have thought it would have taken me ages to read it, but it didn't, in fact, because even though I knew all the story, there were so many bits of it I didn't know. And it was really enjoyable, and it's very strange to know a story so well and still want to read another, you know, go back to read the original or see another version of it. And this is when I came to realise that Pride and Prejudice is one of those stories you can just go on over and over again. So yes, this brings us up to more recent endeavours. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. You'll be happy to know that I've actually only made it about halfway through, I think, because the novelty wears off after a bit. It's quite good and quite fun. You know, it's up to you. So anyway, this brings us up to more recent date. I went to Jane Austen's home in Chawton in July. There was a Chicago opera group there they were doing an operatic version of Persuasion, and they were all hanging around in their clothes, and the men looked very sexy. And there was one with a Russian accent. I think he was Russian, I don't know. Mainly looking at his bum. Anyway, when I was at Chawton, there was a bookshop, obviously, in the Jane Austen Museum. There's lots of different books, and I like graphic novels, and they had this one, of Pride and Prejudice. Also a little bit dusty. How much dust is in my room? And what's quite sweet is they gave me this little label to put inside that actually says I bought it at Jane Austen's house, which is quite sweet. I haven't got round to it yet, but I think it's another point to be made again, just how much I will read the Pride and Prejudice story over and over again. The most recent version of Pride and Prejudice that I got really kind of stuck on the beginning of this year, and I keep forgetting about it, which is a shame because people really need to be told about it, was something called the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. I will put a link down there. It's all available on YouTube. It's a web series created by Hank Green. Lizzie Bennet Diaries was an idea by Hank to basically make Lizzie Bennet a communication student, and she decides to create this vlog, and the whole story is told out over that 100 episodes and it's fantastic. They ended up winning an Emmy. Now I think there's probably two main reasons why Pride and Prejudice keeps getting retold and has lasted for 200 years. The first reason is the kind of enduring story, the story that can be told over and over again in any different time, in any different kind of culture and place, and people understand it. It's a fantastic story. It's set over about a year. You have these great mixtures of characters, all with their different subtleties, always kind of being complex, never being altogether bad or altogether good, although people like to think of them that way. It's all about misunderstanding situations, misunderstanding people, Lizzie and Mr. Darcy misunderstanding each other, and the lovely romance that goes through it. But I don't think the romance, I mean, people go on about Mr. Darcy, but I don't think the romance is really the thing. I think the thing is about Lizzie, really. I mean, the great thing about Lizzie, and what Austen gave this brilliant gift to Lizzie, is that she doesn't care. She doesn't care if she finds a man. She's quite happy in herself, which is brilliant as far as female characters go. She is happy the way she is. She doesn't feel the need to find a husband. She just gets on with it. Something to be envious of. But at the same time, Lizzie is a fictional character, you know. She has the bonus of Mr. Darcy, of a brilliantly smart, rich man falling in love with her. You know, we love Pride and Prejudice because it just means that never matter what you do, it doesn't matter, because of the beautiful, lovely man with the big mansion will come and fall in love with you. That doesn't happen. You can't sit around and just expect these blokes to appear. I know, I have tried it. It doesn't really work. And we cling to those stories because we want to have hope in them, and we want to have hope there is happy endings for all of us. But the fact is, you make your happy ending yourself. I'm very aware of that now. You can't wait for Mr. Darcy to come to you.